Hello and a warm welcome to Advanced Audit and Assurance, your path to AAA excellence. If you're gearing up for the AAA exam previously recognized as the P7 exam, you're at the right place. In this video, we will walk through the past exam question. Get ready, we are not just studying the past exam question, we are unlocking the secrets to decoding the scenarios, finding numerous points we can make in the exam to gain marks easily, masterfully drafting answers up to the examiner standards, and skyrocketing your chances of success in the AAA exam. Stay tuned for game-changing insights that will transform your approach and elevate your ACCA journey. Let's go ahead. In this video, we will be discussing September 2020 question number 1 part C. This is in continuation with the previous two videos on September 2020 question number 1A and question number 1B. Now we are proceeding with question number 1C, and you should make sure that you are watching this video from the beginning, question number 1A and B and now C, because this is a briefing note question. Question number 1 is always a briefing note, and this is in continuation of the briefing note. It's going to be lengthy video, so that's why I have divided them in two separate parts. So you should make sure that you are watching from the first video, that is question number 1 part A. Now let us draft our answer for the question number 1 part C. See, it says using the information in the audit team meeting notes, exhibit 4. Okay, we have to utilize exhibit 4 information over here. Evaluate the matters. Okay, evaluate the matters means 2 marks each matter to be considered in deciding whether Pegasus and company should accept the engagement to provide advice on the group's social and environmental information. Evaluate the matters to be considered, right? The evaluation of matters contains 2 marks for each point, well, like 1 mark for the identification, 2nd mark for the evaluation of the matter, why it is an issue, right? So 2 marks each point to be considered in deciding whether Pegasus and company should accept the engagement. Okay, we are supposed to accept an other engagement other than the audit. Okay, non-audit service, right? To provide advice. This is the service, advice on the group's social and environmental information, and we have to refer to the exhibit 4 for this one. So let's scroll down to exhibit number 4 and find out what this information is supposed to be. Here we are on exhibit number 4, right? And over here it says social and environmental information. Okay, so let us read this down because it carries 10 marks, so we will have to be careful in drafting our points. And one more thing, make sure that you are always skeptical in the audit paper, especially the audit risk portion, and you need to brainstorm yourself. Always I have been focusing on brainstorming yourself in my lectures, and you need to brainstorm yourself. You need to think of what points you can make, what points can you draft in your answers, so that even if it is wrong, this is the practice time, candidates. It's the practice time. Even if you are making the wrong points, don't worry, don't you care about it. But what will happen is that once you are in the process of thinking, and once you are able to draft wrong points, wrong answers, automatically you will start coming in the right direction. You will start drafting correct points, start making the correct answers. Yes, I am sure that you would do that. So candidates, you need to focus, you need to practice, you need to make points, you need to identify points, you need to draft your points. Even if you are doing it wrong, do it. Yes, make sure you are doing it. Even if you are wrong, I don't care if you are wrong or right at the first go, but you have to do it, because once you are doing it, even if you are wrong, one time you will be wrong, the second time you will be wrong, the third time you will be wrong, the fourth time automatically you will improve yourself, and you will be able to think in the way the examiner wants you to think. Don't practice right now. It's the practice time. Don't make the exam sitting be your first practice session. Always make sure that you are well prepared before the exam, and I would recommend taking a 1 week off before the exam. Target yourself 1 week before the exam, that you are done with the preparation and you are well prepared. This 1 week you have to relax, and you have to give small study sessions, that is keep revisions, that's it. No practicing during the last week of the exam, and no panic. Don't panic. So now let us read out the social and environmental information provided in the exhibit number 4 to draft our answer for 10 marks. 10 marks, candidates, easy 10 marks. The Group Audit Committee has inquired whether Pegasus and company can provide an additional service, okay, to advise management on how to measure certain social and environmental information. Okay, the it requires the Pegasus and company to advise on the management on how to measure certain social and environmental information, which is to be published. Oh, it is to be published on the group's website. Okay, on the website, not in the financial statements yet, and is required by new regulations in the industry and is required to be submitted to regulatory authorities. So when this information is to be published on the website and to be submitted to the regulatory authorities, don't you think this information is supposed to be something extraordinary? Yes, it is supposed to be something extraordinary and a non-audit service for the audit firm Pegasus and Co. And yes, I'm sure you are able to pick this point that yes, this is a non-audit service. Now let's move ahead, and I'm sure you're able to think of that this will bring in threats to the to the audit firm, because it is a non-audit service that the company has asked the audit firm to provide their feedback that they are supposed to do this work or not, and we will be facing ethical threats because of this. Now let's move on. The social and environmental information relates to matters such as water efficiency, energy consumption, charitable donations, and initiatives which support diversity in the workplace. This information, the social and environmental information, relates to matters such as water efficiency, energy consumption, charitable donations, and initiatives which support diversity in the workplace. Candidates, you must make sure or you must think that this is something which is out of the scope of Pegasus and company as an audit firm. Don't you think so? These matters, water efficiency, energy consumption, charitable donations, and initiatives which support diversity in the workplace. I don't think an audit firm is providing such an information, but since this was being asked in the question that they've asked whether we should be providing this information or not. Now, okay, so don't you think the competence or the expertise the required for this work would not be available with Pegasus and Co. We will draft this point. Don't worry. See how you are brainstorming yourself. You picked up this point: water efficiency, energy consumption, donation, and initiatives to support diversity. And we drafted a point that we won't be having the necessary skills, or we won't be having the required, staff to work on this piece of information. We will utilize this point in our answer. Now see, in recognition that this work is quite urgent, okay, this is urgent, as the deadline for submission to the regulatory authority falls within the next month. Okay, it's within the next month, so it's really urgent. The Group Audit Committee has stated it is willing to pay an enhanced fee for this service. Intimidation threat, self-interest threat. Were you able to think of this one? Self-interest threat, that it is willing to pay an enhanced fee, maybe a fee that is much higher than the audit fee the group is being charged, and an intimidation threat because it's an urgency, it's urgent work because the deadline falls within the next month. Candidates, you need to think, you need to brainstorm yourself. I've been focusing on brainstorming multiple times. You need to brainstorm yourself to make sure that yes, you are doing it correct, you are going in the correct direction. Right? So now let us move again to the requirement. We have read the information provided. Now I want you to read the requirement again to brainstorm yourself, to make it easy for yourself to write down the answer. Now see, it says evaluate the matters to be considered in deciding whether Pegasus and company should accept the engagement to provide advice on the group's social and environmental information. Alright, we need to evaluate the matters, right? Now we are coming back to the exhibit number 4 and the point which we were given. Now let us move to the answer page. Additional non-audit service evaluation, right? Additional non-audit service evaluation, because we are evaluating the non-audit service to be provided by our firm. I am making it easy for the examiner to identify the points which we are supposed to make by giving headings. You have to make it easy for the examiner to read the answer and to give you marks accordingly. Now what we would begin the answer with is we would give a short or a brief introductory line based on the information provided. In this part of the question, we would say that the Crux group the group's request to Pegasus and Co. to advise on management or to advise the management on its social and environmental reporting creates an ethical threat, right? To objectivity, certainly, because we are the auditors, we are not hired for the non-audit service only, right? Now let us begin drafting points. The first one I would come up with is that see, we are the auditors of the company or the group, and we are providing information based on the audit. Based on we are providing information, or we are auditing the information provided to us, the financial statements and the projected financial statements. So once we are the auditors, we are providing the audit facility to the firm, and we are being asked to provide non-audit service to the firm. Don't you think it will bring up a self-review threat, because by doing a non-audit service for the company and doing audit later on, like right now it's the projected statements which we are working on, but once the year end comes, right, we will be doing the audit process, right? We will be performing the audit on this Crux group. We will be reviewing the information that is based on the social and environmental reporting performed by our firm Pegasus and Co. Don't you think so? So we need to highlight this point in this. We need to provide this information in the evaluation, right? Because it's a non-audit service, it would create a self-review threat when we are auditing this firm, right? So we would say that self-review, right, arises if Pegasus and Co. provides this non-audit Non-Audit Service, right? Now we have told that this is the case, but we have not defined why this would become a self-review threat, right? Now we will tell this thing in the next sentence, that we would say that some of the information, or rather some of the social and environmental information could relate to transactions, right? Transactions during the year in the financial statements, right? Uh, which will be a part of audit, right? See how we have drafted the point. 2 marks candidates, we have covered 2 marks over here in 2.5 lines only. Then what else can we do? Don't you think this other information on the financial statements would be having this social and environmental information as part of that, and the final financial statements, that is the year-end financial statements, would have that in the other information, and this would have been performed by the Pegasus and Co. And Pegasus and Co. would again be having a self-review thread for that one too. Yes, you're right. Right. So we can write that down further, that a self-review thread also arises if the social and environmental information becomes part of the group's financial statements, group's published financial statements. Alright, so this we have covered up. One more point which is coming in my mind based on the self-review thread would be that if the same team or the same members of the team are doing both the services, then it becomes a self-review thread again. So we would say that the self-review thread also arises if the members of the audit team and the non-audit service are the same, right? Now what else, we were given this point that it's supposed to pay an enhanced fee, which we concluded that the enhanced fee could be higher than the audit fee, and it could become a large proportion of the firm's income, or not a large proportion of the firm's income, but a large proportion of income from the same client, and it could become a self-interest threat. There could be a self-interest threat arising from this one. Alright, so let us draft our point for this one. We could say that a self-interest threat uh, could arise, right, by the provision of the non-audit service. You're seeing how we are defining this point, or how we are drafting this point from this non-audit service, from the non-audit service, as the fee for this non-audit service could be high, as the audit committee is willing to pay an enhanced fee, right? We could say that as the audit committee is willing to pay an enhanced fee based on the urgency, right, of the service. Now, what else can we think of? Candidates, you need to think, you need to brainstorm yourself. I am focusing on brainstorming yourself. One more thing which I can find in this question is, the tight deadlines, because it's a part of, we have to perform this work in urgency because it's this deadline, right? So submission to the regulatory authorities falls within the next month. We can draft a point for this one. Based on this, we will be focusing on intimidation threat, right? Alright, so let us draft a point based on intimidation over here. We would say that the Crux group requires this work to be performed in urgency, right, which could impact the scope of work, right, and the extent, right, of work or procedures to be done, and the extent of work performed, right. We are telling both the cases, the extent and the scope of the work performed, which would impact the quality of the service, right. And what else? Of the service, the pressure to complete this work in urgency could be perceived as an intimidation threat. I hope you are following what I did. I briefly told the intimidation threat to the examiner that yes, I am aware of this threat too. And one more thing which we can draft, I am able to think of, is that if the audit firm is providing this service and it is measuring or publishing this document for the authorities, it could be perceived as taking the management responsibilities by the audit firm, right? So if to avoid this, we would say that to avoid the management responsibilities, the audit firm should make sure that all the judgments are passed or taken by the management of the company, right? So we can draft our point for this one too. Providing this non-audit service be team involved could be perceived, or rather the team involved in measuring and publishing the social, and we are connecting with the case, and environmental information could be perceived as taking the management's responsibility, right? The audit firm should make sure that all decisions and judgments are approved by the management of the Crux group, right? You see how we have crafted this point based on the management responsibility which is assumed to be taken by the audit firm. One more thing, before taking on this service, the audit firm should discuss this request with the group audit committee to make sure that the audit committee is approving the audit firm to take this service or not, right? So let us draft a point for that also, that uh, the Pegasus and Co should request the Crux Group Audit Committee to approve the firm to provide this social and environmental service, right? It's the audit committee that should approve our firm to provide this service, obviously by making sure that proper safeguards are in place. And what else can we do? Since it's a new legislation, it's a new task to be done by the company, by the Crux group. It is a new form of work to be performed. So obviously the Crux group would not have proper information based on the new legislation, new law, new publishing. So what Pegasus and company could do is it could require information. It could inquire from the regulatory authority what their requirement of publishing on the website is and what their requirement of submission to the regulatory offices, right? What information do they exactly require to make sure that this is a matter which is to be performed or not. So let us draft another point for this one. Pegasus and Co should discuss the matter with the regulatory body to know their requirements, right? To know their requirements. To know the requirements to better meet the criteria, better meet the reporting criteria, right? See how we have drafted a point. Now at the end, I would say we should the firm Pegasus and company, the firm should should make sure that it has the necessary skills required or the competencies, experience required to comment on the social and environmental information required by the regulatory body. Because if you don't have this skills or this experience, this knowledge, we would not be able to provide this service too. I'm afraid I've thought of this point at the end, but this is a major point to be considered at the evaluation stage of the before accepting the non-audit service, right? So we could say that PKSS and Co should consider whether they have the necessary skills, competence and experience to report on the social and environmental information required by the regulatory body, right? We need to make sure that we are able to meet this requirement or not. So candidates, this was a 10-mark question, and have a look how many points we have covered. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. We have covered 10 points for this one, and roughly 2 marks each, but in this case we have got 1 mark ones also, the short ones 1. So let us count the marks: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14. We have covered up 14 marks in this answer out of 10 marks. Candidates, see how many points we can draft in our answer. It's so easy and so simple. You don't need to panic. You don't need to panic. You don't need to become so over that you're not able to think of points. See, we have drafted 14 marks points for 10 marks requirement. So there are always numerous points. There are always multiple points available in the exam. You just need to think, you need to brainstorm yourself, and you need to focus on drafting your answer. That's it. And I think that's it for this part C. In the next video, we will continue with the part D of this requirement, or of this question number 1, and that is supposed to be the last requirement of question number 1, and the last video based on this question number 1, September 2020 question number 1. And in that, at the end of that video, we would conclude our briefing note. We would provide a conclusion at the end of the briefing note, and that way I will be completing the briefing note format with you too. So that's it for now. See you in the next video. Have a good day. Take care. Towards the end of this video, you need to remember, greatness doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of continuous effort, boundless curiosity, and a thirst for improvement. Investing time in these videos and engaging with past AAA exam questions is an investment in the brighter future you're shaping up. Keep your focus sharp, your learning continuous, and your eyes focused on your goals. Best of luck as you navigate your studies. May your dedication lead you to success in the AAA exam.